What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Italian Stallion, here for another episode of Rebels with a Cause. Want to give a shout out to everybody watching, all the likes, all the love. And listen, while you're watching, if you haven't done so already, hit that like button, punch that subscribe button. It's all about the algorithms, getting that show out there, getting our message out there to other rebels, former rebels, so they can watch the show and come on. And we've got a really special treat tonight. Obviously, I'm about to bring in my co-host and my brother, two-pair Tate, Brian Tate as well. And we've got a special guest, my first friend when I came to West, and also my teammate. It's this guy behind me, big number 56. Of course, he's played a lot of different positions, and we're going to talk about that when we bring him on the proper way. But first and foremost, as always, I'd like to start every show off with the views and opinions of this program are not affiliated with those of any other organization or West High School. These are just the opinion of Rebels with a Cause. But I also want to give a shout out to my boy, Terry Maples, and his company, On the Level Construction and Remodeling. Hit him up. Maybe you got a project for him that he can do. He's very passionate about what he does, and if he is the rebel as a cause, as I know he is, he'll do a good job for you. So definitely, hit him up on Facebook, and if we have some information that we can pass on, a phone number or email or any way to get a quote and so forth to him to get hooked up with you, we'll definitely do it. And also, I want to give a shout out to my guy, Mr. Alex Thatcher, Knoxville Coffee Company, right there on Sutherland Avenue in the heart of Marble City. They're over there by West High School. Really good coffee. They're growing. You got to definitely check him out. The guy knows his stuff. And if you need a good brew to get you going in the morning, another rebel with a cause with a lot of heart and love making that coffee. So definitely check him out on that. But without further ado, I want to bring on my co-host, the Mr. 2003 West. I mean, he is West. 18 plus years as the voice of the Rebels, and always did any sport or get the microphone. He even hosted pep rallies. They'd hand him the mic, and a freshman hosting a pep rally. Who does that? But my boy did, honestly. He is the man. He's great on the mic. I would take him against anybody in a rap-off contest. I don't even know if it's called that. I mean, come on now. But anyway, without further ado, get up for my boy, the man, two-pair Tate, Brian Tate. Let's give it up, everybody.
Thank you. You mean in a rap battle?
Rap battle. That's what I meant to say. Thank you.
What's crazy is I never could I wasn't good about talking about somebody. I couldn't do it. Like I'm bad about talking about somebody. I'm better at saying when I know about James Freeman and T.J. the way they would hit and the way they would play. Linebackers, they'll come from this way, Marble City. If we showing no pity, like I can do that.
Oh yeah. And you did do a rap, the back-to-back, for the documentary that I hope to finish this year and so forth and get that done. So, that's also going to be featured, that song. So
I made that.
You did.
I think I was talking about Cottrell and who was in. I had a lot of.
I was in that one, Gaslight. Yeah.
Gas and Light.
And I still have Gaslight. I still do. I listen to it. I love it, man. I do.
It's on SoundCloud.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's on SoundCloud.
I need to get that. I don't have SoundCloud.
I'll send it to you tonight.
Please do. So yeah.
But it's just crazy you said that song. I recorded that song for the first state championship.
Mm-hmm.
That we just never
that we didn't get. We lost by that 1 point. Yeah, the heartbreaker in 2013.
Well, no, the state championship with the one that they won.
The 14. Yes, yeah, back to back. Yeah. So no, and that song is going to be the featured song at the beginning of it and so forth when it's finally done. So, the one thing, how you been, man? Honestly, I love always getting together on a Wednesday night. I'm busy as anything at work, but I could what you're doing and so forth too. So yeah,
I've been good, man. I just I'm more now that basketball season is over. I'm kind of like in my music grind heavily, and I'm now that part of basketball is over. It's more the travel basketball and the region championships. Just following that closely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, you know what I'm saying? I feel like they left a lot on the table.
Oh my God, man. Oh yeah. No, we're gonna get to that. No, we're gonna get to that and talk about that game because they really did leave a lot on the table.
Yeah.
I said it last show. This is gonna be the season of what if, honestly. And I never really thought how bad that Garrett Birch injury was. Just when you're getting Dane back and you lose Birch and you're starting to gel, and then it's like you forgot who you were. And that Bearden loss in overtime, I think that was it. Like, I really believe that was it. If they win that one, there's a lot to be said with momentum. I think they would be in William Blunt's position hosting not only a district championship, but we would have been hosting the region tournament, right? I mean, that's how it goes. So, yeah.
It's just wild though the way things happen. You sweep Bearden. We touched on this last week. You sweep them. You know that you're gonna see them down the road again.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have that in your mindset. Like, I feel sorry for the juniors. I really do, because this was a prime opportunity this year to establish yourselves as one of the best teams to ever come out of the city, and instead it's going to be somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well, and here's the worst thing too. We knew what we were going to be facing. You mentioned Bearden. You knew Maryville was going to be there. You didn't expect them in the third place game, but you expected them maybe in the championship game for another shot at it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I watched Maryville last night struggle. I mean, do you know that Maryville was held to 4 points with 4 minutes to go in the second quarter? And William Blunt, I thought, was going to run away with this thing. William Blunt was up 13-4 with 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. And Maryville goes on a 16-0 run to take a 20-13 lead at halftime. It's on TSS. Yeah, it's on there. I watched it. And I'm thinking to myself, Maryville can't hit the broadside of a barn. William Blunt's playing stupid right now, not calling timeouts, stopping momentum, and letting them score down there after playing almost perfect defense for a quarter and a half. And I'm like, my Rebels aren't even in this region tournament. Yeah. My Rebels are not in this region tournament. And that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And I do it, and I say it because I love these boys. These boys should have been playing last night. So,
that matchup, they
it was.
West had no answer for Ray.
No.
Ray is one of the better players in the state, and he showed it in that game.
Yeah, but he laid a complete egg yesterday against Bearden, and Bearden won. And Bearden is now playing for a region championship with a shot to host sub-state. And something just tells me we gave up a lot to win that game. And it's like we went down after that Bearden game, and they went up. It was like the weirdest thing ever. And 1 point in overtime, so.
Ain't it crazy?
Isn't that crazy? And here's the other thing, too. There's not a doubt in my mind that Maryville and Bearden, no disrespect to, again, the Tri-City teams that are going to be playing, I see Bearden and Maryville both making state, possibly. I really do. And we were right there with those teams. Swept Bearden even. But Bearden has found a recipe right now, and they're doing what they need to do to outlast teams and win at this point. That's what they're doing.
You know what I think it is? I think just from the way those games were played and the way West looked after that Bearden win, I think they peaked too early.
They did.
They peaked too early. Yeah. They peaked early because the snow, those games, I thought it would help.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like they just got burnt out.
I think they got burnt out, and I know that all the teams had injuries, but the way that Birch hurt his ankle in that third quarter of that Bearden game, and to not see the court again, there might have more going on there. Maybe it was like a little bit of a stress fracture because there's been so much basketball and everything. I mean, there's all sorts of things. And I mean, obviously we can get into it because I want to make sure our guest gets on because I know he's a very, very busy man and I want to get him on there. And of course, you got to do the tradition on the show to ask him that first special question that we ask every guest.
It pays homage to Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson's on their Knuckle podcast. I pay homage to them.
I love it. I love it. So yeah,
whenever I watch their podcast, that's the favorite thing. And I love the montage of how many players and coaches and just people they've asked that question to. And that's what I kind of like with ours. We'll break those clips down and see what people say and just the tough answers because
for sure. So yeah, for sure. Also at the end of when we're done with the guest, I haven't even shared this with you yet, but both you and I are March babies. I believe you were born on the 24th, if I'm not correct. So yeah. I was born on the 13th. And it just so happens that in 2 weeks from tonight, I will turn 40 years old. And I think my parents and my wife want to take me out. So we might move it to Tuesday night, the show that week. And I do want to have a show. And I want to invite some of the guests that have already been on there and some that have not yet appeared. And maybe even have a little old-fashioned roast on the Italian Stallion, and so forth like that. A little fun show and laugh and so forth. And everybody can partake in it if they're free. So, yeah.
Rebels with a Cause birthday roast?
Yes, Rebels with a Cause birthday roast of yours truly, the Italian Stallion. And I know yours falls on a Saturday this year, if I'm not mistaken, or Sunday, I think it is. So if that's the case, we could either do it the Wednesday before or the Wednesday after for Two Pair Tate and invite some of the people that maybe you want to come on there and so forth for sure. So, yeah.
But you know what? I figured it out, though, Stallion. I figured it out. Here's what I figured out. Once we started doing this show, I think we became the bulletin board material for every team because the perspective of we give the game and when we watch Alcoa, Austin East, all these other schools, Hardin Valley, Bearden, we are there. We really are like the poster board material for these other teams because we talk highly of our team, but we're also honest.
Mm-hmm.
We're also honest. As good as we look, we can lose to Farragut.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
and we did. We did. We almost lost twice. So yeah, I mean, honestly. So yeah.
Maryville swept them this year.
Yep, 3 times. So.
But then they sweep Bearden.
Yeah.
So
they swept William Blount, who is still technically, I know that their season ended disappointed yesterday on their home court, but they have 2 district tournament championships. By my count, that's one more than West has gotten in the entire 70-something years of the school. Bearden has an opportunity tomorrow. If Maryville was the regular season champs, William Blount was the district tournament champs, Bearden can be the region tournament champs, all from the same district. It was a bloodbath. And we beat everybody, but we're right there with Maryville. If they don't go on an 11-0 run with 3 minutes to go in the game, we're the ones as regular season district champions. And a whole different seed and everything like that happens.
I just don't know where who is the alpha male in the room.
Brother, I'm telling you.
Who's the guy that's just gotta put his foot that like and I wanna do this because I am a big fan of this kid.
Mm-hmm.
He is the most talented basketball player at his height in his class. I think he is one of the best. Shout out to Mike Lynn. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I think he is one of the most talented, skilled players at his position. I just want Devin Martin. It is you are the man.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Jags.
Yeah.
You guys are the two best low post players. But for Devin Martin, it's like you kind of want to see a guy like him just dominate, like get him the ball.
He's too quiet. He's too quiet. Now, our guest that we're going to bring on was quiet, but he let his actions on the field and was a complete bull when he played. And Devin, if you don't want to be the talker, let your play as the bull in the china shop in the court, controlled. Do the thing. I mean, the defense is absolutely atrocious. Atrocious.
Like, here's what hurt. This is what hurt the most. It's not the fact that we lose the game, but they played Boys to Men end of the road while they beat us.
And this ain't even prom. And they played that.
They played that.
Yeah.
Like, and you know what? That should combat every time we win a game, we play what song? What's the song that we play, James?
All we do is win.
Right.
They're playing End of the Road.
They play Boys to Men End of the Road?
Yeah. Motown Philly.
They play Boys to Men End of the Road on us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It ain't the fact that we lost.
But it's that.
The fact that they play Boys to Men
End of the road.
Of the road. Like.
Yeah. End of the road. And here's the other thing, too.
That hurt.
If I was the coach, our practices, whatever, I want that playing on the loudspeaker. I want that on the loudspeaker. If that doesn't light a fire under you, walk off the court right now. Turn in your jersey. You're done. You're done. Simple as that.
90 to 75.
I mean, how does that happen? I mean, and you were down by 20 points in the second quarter. You were at risk to be blown off even before the game was at halftime. You didn't want to be there, is what you're telling me.
It's like, I feel like, I don't know. I ain't trying to say they checked out. I just feel like they got burned.
I think their heart got broken in that Bearden game. And that district tournament game, I think that was it. I really do.
Because they went on a streak of losses.
Yeah. I mean, to end the year on a 3-game losing streak, and all three, and the Maryville game was a blowout too. That 71-60 score, if it wasn't for Reese getting hot from 3, that's 71-40 or 71-45 or something like that, honestly. So don't kid yourself. But the amount of points that they allow, and if they ain't hitting, and these guys are making wide open shots, they're making them pay. And the defense, they're not moving their feet. But it's like you said, the rotation needs to be used correctly. And here's the thing. Those guys that might not be getting the playing time because they are a liability on defense, guess what you need to start working on? Lateral quickness, moving your feet, playing defense with your feet, knowing when to swipe the ball correctly and get a turnover. The other thing, too, is the possession is horrendous. I mean, to have 17 turnovers against Maryville, and I saw them being careless with the ball against Oak Ridge, too. You can't win like that. You're not good enough, especially if the defense isn't matching your intensity on the offensive side of the ball. You can score the ball, but what happens when you can't score and the other team is lighting you up like Maryville did, like Oak Ridge did? They couldn't miss. I felt they couldn't miss, and they were taking good shots. Two-pair. They weren't settling for hard 3-pointers. They were penetrating, kicking out. I mean, they were doing what they needed to, and their guys were taking the shots within themselves that they know they could make. And I feel our guys try to do too much to overcompensate for guys that aren't bringing it every game. And that is a recipe for a loss in any level of basketball.
Yeah, and what really hurt is that the rotation. They got away from what they were. You can't get away from what you are.
Shout out to Troy Smith. He's here for the pizza. So that's dope. Mayor Blakely gets a picture backdrop.
That's dope.
I love it. So.
But no, seriously, man, they just became. They weren't the same team that you saw against Bearden when they won at home.
Or
Like
Hardin Valley. The Hardin Valley game was amazing. What about William Blount, the first game, where they were up by 28 points? It
that's
ended up being a 16-point win, but they were up by 28 points on William Blount.
that was the best all year. That West team is what we should have had.
Yeah. The Austin East game. The Austin East game on the road. That one. You know, I mean that
Austin game on the road. They blew them out by 30.
Yeah.
And Austin East is playing for a championship.
Here's the other thing. Austin East and Alcoa will be in state regardless of who wins or loses. I really believe that. I believe that. So I could be wrong, but they're going to have a fourth battle tomorrow night, you know, and Fulton. And here's the thing. Here's a segue. Fulton is playing Union County. So, and of course, our guy, Mayor of Maynardville, about to come on. I'm going to introduce him. And, you know, he actually was at the West Bearden game, and he can even chime in on this, too, because he knows basketball. And, of course, you got to ask him the traditional question, though, before we get into that. But I want to bring him on. So let's bring him on without further ado. All right? He is a class of 2002, okay? Mm-hmm. He was quiet. I mean, maybe he was a little loud and rowdy with the guys behind the scenes, but on the field, he let his play do the talking. He's played multiple positions. I can't wait to hear all the positions he's played in all of his football journey. I want to hear all about it. He also served in our U.S. Army, so he is a veteran and a true rebel with a cause, the mayor of Maynardville. I want everybody, wherever you're watching, whether it's live or recorded, to stand up and salute this man because he is a manly man. And I can honestly say my first friend at West High School when West welcomed me with open arms back in the fall of 1999. So without further ado, Mr. T.J. Blakely. Let's bring him on, everybody. What is good, sir? Do I have you, TJ? Are you muted?
I think you muted.
Let's see here.
Can you hear me?
Now? Yep, yeah, we got you now. Yep.
Sweet. Yeah. Sweet. Guys, no, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm thankful for the opportunity. Couldn't be doing this with two better guys. You two guys are awesome. Two of the friendliest guys I had the opportunity to go to school with. Yeah, Michael Lynn, that's right. Big win for the Vols tonight. Proud to be here, guys. I appreciate it. Oh, and the Bearden District. James, was that a semifinal game?
That was a semifinal game. Yes, sir, it was. Yep.
That was my first West basketball game in golly, since I was in high school. And I got to do a little plug real quick. My son is a sophomore at Union County High School. My wife teaches there. They're playing Fulton, the Giants, tomorrow night.
Defending champs.
For the regional championship. We had a miracle shot by our senior center.
I loved
in
it.
The semifinals. It was beautiful. You know, I was telling a guy this morning, the guy that does all the recording for the basketball team, he called me this morning and I told him, I said, you know, I don't know if there's anything better than tournament basketball.
There's not.
It's phenomenal. I don't care if it's high school, college, NBA, it's great.
We got a question already for our guest. What's your son benching now, TJ? That's from the great Michael Lynn.
Hold on, before that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we'll wait.
So we appreciate you coming on here, OG. Like,
yeah,
one of the first dudes I ever played against in rec league basketball. Like
West Bearden
with the headband. I remember you had the headband.
I had long hair too, man.
You did. And then, of course, I saw you on that football field when I started playing football as well. So we ask everybody this question, Mr. Blakely. Who's the first person to ever bust your ass on the football field or the basketball court?
So football's a little different, and let me tell you why. My first year of football was fourth grade. And they wouldn't let me play with my age group. So I had to play on the middle school team in fourth grade. I was out on the east side. Went to school on Magnolia at Chilhowie, which we can get into later because I think that played a little bit of factor in who I was at West. But anyway, so I played fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, all middle school football. So, seventh and eighth grade, it was pretty easy. But fourth grade, on a middle school team, I got my rear end handed to me daily. But in high school, man, I'm going to be honest, not too many people got me. But there is one story that I think about often. It was our previous guest, Captain T, Troy Smith. And let me be real, man. First, I've got the utmost respect for Troy Smith. I looked up to him. Good dude.
Yep.
He worked hard, played hard, and that's my brother, man. But we were doing one-on-one lineman drills, and I'm gonna be 100 right here. On my best day and Troy's best day, Troy's winning 5 times out of 5. Let's just be real. All right. Troy took a play off. I got him. And I knew not to run my mouth because Troy's Troy, man. He'll get you eventually. Well, Coach Mays lit into Troy like no other, went up one side, down the other. And I knew in the back of my head, like, Coach Mays is going to ask us to do this again. And he's pissing Troy off. He's got to stop. Because the madder Troy gets, the worse I'm going to get just ragdoll. So Coach Mays just keeps going. He's like, do it again. I was like, dadgummit. I knew what was coming, and Troy ragdolled me. So I appreciate that, Captain T. I remember that. I have nightmares about it. On the basketball court, man, golly. I'll tell you. So I love basketball. Football is my thing. I'm not even going to sit here and act like basketball is my thing. I still play, pick up basketball games. The first guy that introduced me to physical basketball didn't even go to West. He went to Bearden Middle, which, as we know, is a feeder school to West. But do you guys remember Neil Gouda?
I do remember Neil Gouda. He played at Bearden. He played at Bearden. He went to Bearden.
Yeah.
Yes. So we were on the All-Star team together at West Bearden, and I did okay, throughout the regular season just because of my sheer size. And man, I'll never forget. They brought the ball down the first practice with the All-Star team. Neil Gouda posted up, popped me with the shoulder. I was like, oh, so that's how you do it. So I'll never forget that. Yeah.
Interesting enough about Neil Gouda, we both went, obviously he graduated from Bearden, so we were there at the same time as freshmen. He was on the freshman basketball team at Bearden, but he's just one of those other guys that I guess never either was good enough to, and let's be real, Bearden had a lot of talent back then, too. They always have in basketball. But I was shocked because of his height. He didn't continue on and so forth, because there was a year there where Bearden wasn't so great. That following year, after they lost the Magnificent Seven, that sophomore year. So I'm surprised he didn't continue with it. But I think he also played baseball too. So maybe he focused on baseball. I wasn't there anymore, obviously, but I wonder if he focused more on baseball than he did basketball at that point. But that's a name I haven't heard in over 20 years, TJ. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I haven't heard the name. I actually remember playing up against you guys at Cumberland Estates.
Yep.
The city tournament.
Yeah.
And we had to go in the losers bracket to then try to get back in the winners bracket. You guys were really good, man.
We played for the city championship. We lost. Went to the state tournament. I don't remember. We won a couple of games. A team we beat in the city tournament knocked us out in the state tournament. Stuff happens.
TJ, I was curious about your football journey, and I just learned something that I didn't even realize. That you were here fourth and fifth grade being forced to play against middle schoolers because I guess you were so much bigger than the kids that were, I guess, the normal 9 or 10-year-olds and so forth.
Yeah.
But as much as you got run by these older kids, you have to say, iron sharpens iron, and it made you better.
Oh, it made me a better player. I remember eighth grade. Um, Football was easy. Golly, that was my fifth year of middle school football. Um, it just everything came easy to me that year, and I enjoyed it. It's a little different story once we got to high school. But yeah, my seventh, eighth grade year, it was easy. Yeah.
And so then you get so tell me about getting to West, okay? Because here's the thing. Obviously, your grandfather was coach at Powell, right? I mean, so you've got some ties to Powell High School, which obviously now West and Powell, it's like it's one of those two teams in 5A every year when it comes to
Yeah.
football. So, but why West? What? How did you end up at West High School?
So there's a deeper connection with West and Powell. I'll touch on here in a second, but I had an interesting childhood. Moved a lot. I was in a different elementary school every year. Some of the years, 2 or 3 different elementary schools. Started my middle school days at Carter. Um, some stuff changed. My family life changed a little bit. Um, right before my seventh grade year, I move out behind to live behind Beard Middle School. So go to Beard Middle, and I'm gonna be honest with you, man, that was a culture shock, dude. You know, I grew up going to Bell Morris Elementary, which would have put me at Fulton, and then we moved out to the east side, and I was on Magnolia and went to Olson Chowie, which was putting me towards Carter. So when I got to Bearden, man, good dudes there. No, I'm not complaining about anything. It was just a culture shock. And even when I transitioned into West High School, it was even more of a culture shock. Um, and I don't mean that in a negative way. You know, when you're living off Cherry Street, when you're living off Magnolia, your demographic that's around you is one thing. West is so diverse. I mean,
Yeah.
every social class, every race. I wasn't used to that at the time. So it was a culture shock. I had some adjustments there. Um, Going into my eighth grade year, um, so when I moved to Bearden didn't have a super midget team.
They didn't.
So they
Good point.
didn't.
No.
Yeah. So
Because
and I
I
didn't.
played for Farragut. I was zoned for Bearden, as you know. I played for CBFO. I played for Farragut. So yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
So I went and played for Carnes. I knew a couple cats out there. Much love to them, but dadgum, that team was terrible. And while I was at Beard Middle, I started befriending some dudes like Corey Young, Tamaya Dixon, um, and these cats were like, "Hey man, you got to quit playing for Carnes, come play for us at West." So my eighth grade year, I went and played with those guys at West, for Coach King, Coach Johnny Bruin. Um, but even my eighth grade year, my mindset was I'm gonna go play at Powell. I'm gonna go transfer to Powell. That's where my grandfather retired at as a coach, 2-time coach of the year. Um, my grandfather was my idol. That's where I want to go. I want to go play for Coach Clark Duncan. I didn't. My grandfather set me down. He was like, "Listen," he said, "I want you to go to West." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "You got buddies there." He said, "I want you to go play for Coach Wilson." And I'm glad I did. The friendships I got at West High School. I mean, look at us. I'm 40. You guys are pushing 40. We're still talking, man.
Yeah, we are.
You know,
Yeah.
Going back, I wouldn't change anything. I'm proud to be a West guy. And let me say this real quick before we get into the football stuff. I feel it was an honor to be a student at West High School. When I look back at it now, I know when I was in high school, I was undisciplined, immature. But West High School, I think, gave they had all the tools there for you to be successful as a student.
Yep.
And if you weren't successful as a student, that was on you. And did I take advantage of all those opportunities? No. Was I a good student? Yeah, I got good grades. I could have done better. My focus wasn't where it needed to be. My priorities weren't where they needed to be. I was just focused on playing football. And but I just want to give a big shout out to West High School. And when I go back and watch them now, and I see all this expansion and success, man, they just keep doing great things. And you know, even the teachers we had, we were blessed with some great teachers, man. So
and look where they're at now. Sorry to cut you off, TJ. Look where they're at now. They're making decisions for the county in the building. It's not AJ anymore. It's the TVA building we got now. But I'm just saying, I always like to it's always going to be AJ. They're downtown is what I'm saying. And so you knew they were special then when they took care of us, to where they're making decisions for the teachers that are teaching our children. So
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but the PAL connection too. So my brother Tucker, may you rest in peace. Well, there was an age gap between Tucker and I. Some of you guys might remember Tucker running around the weight room or something when we were in high school. But anyways, Tucker went to PAL. You know, my grandfather coached at PAL, so there was this PAL West thing that we had in my family, and my brother happened to go to PAL when Deshaun Mobley was there, and they were rolling, so he got to witness that. And so it was always a weird thing for me playing PAL, because I grew up on the sidelines at PAL with my grandfather. So yeah, there's a deep PAL connection there, man.
Yeah, for sure. So you get to West, you make the decision, you go to West, and you know, I was in this game. It was the Jamboree. Bearden and West were playing
at PAL.
At PAL, yeah. So that's even more interesting too. Was at PAL, and the crazy thing is that I look at the West team, and we're all kind of talking, and we're like, they ain't much bigger than us. And then comes TJ walking like Goliath. Honestly, I'm not making this up, and I'm like looking, and I go, what position does he play? Wait, they're handing the ball off to him in warm-ups or what have you? Seriously? I have to tackle this guy? Realistically? I mean, we're tackling Chris Hucks in practice, and I got to tackle this guy instead at tailback. Or
Chris was my boy. I played basketball with Chris back in the day.
Chris Hucks was – let me tell you this.
Chris Hucks was my dog.
I have not talked to Chris Hucks in 25 years, but I will say this. So much God-given talent, athletic, and I mean, shook me out of my shoes like I've never been shaken before. And it's like, white boy can do that. I mean, let's be real. Come on, and so forth. But and so, but anyway, but obviously I was second string, and I think you got a touchdown in that game. You guys scored right off the bat, if I'm not mistaken.
So I kind of feel bad for it, man. We started with the ball. They were feeding Corey Young. Corey Young's marching us right down the field, man. We get about 10, 12 yards out. They call my number. And I remember going through the one hole. One hole was wide open. My offensive line did a great job. Whoever the middle linebacker was, he was standing there. He just stepped to the side. He's like, nope. And I went in, scored a touchdown. I had 3 carries that game. The touchdown, then they gave it to me for the 2-point conversion. Didn't get it. And the play that changed everything for me.
Yep.
So I can't remember exactly the play. I know it was supposed to go left, and hole wasn't there. So I cut right. and I take off. Now, when I take off, that's not going that fast. But I took off. I don't remember how far. I thought I was going to score. Um, I don't even. I, I always prided myself on having good like field vision. I didn't see this cat. This cat come out of nowhere, put his helmet right on the side of my knee, and then next thing I know, I'm having to get cut on, getting some ligaments repaired and some meniscus repaired and stuff like that. And that ended up setting me up to move to a different position.
Yeah. Yeah. It was AJ Johnson. I know it was him. He was the guy in front of me at strong side linebacker. And I don't know who you just told me about the middle school linebacker, or the middle linebacker. And I'm trying to remember who that was, because a game later, it was actually a kid that had transferred into Bearden, a big kid named Daniel. I can't remember his last name, but he replaced whoever we did have at middle linebacker that didn't want none of you, so I'm trying to remember who that was. But yeah, it was AJ Johnson. And what's even more like unbelievable, the bad luck that you had getting hit by him. He got kicked off the Bearden freshman team and out of school a week later for possession, just to let you know.
Oh, wow.
So I bet you didn't know the story and so forth. I do, being on the other side as a Bulldog at the time and so forth. Yeah. So if that kid doesn't even get in the game, I'm at that position. I'd probably try to push you out of bounds if I could. I never went for guys' knees. I never did. I'd probably try to ankle tackle or something, but I always tried to head up and, shoulder like the proper way that they teach you, neck up, because if you were head down, you're risking paralyzed. And I watched a kid at Oak Ridge have that happen to them and so forth. So the thing is that like, it was just bad luck, TJ. Just think about your freshman year, how that changes completely if you don't get hurt. Maybe you see some varsity time too. I don't know if they did let freshmen play varsity or not under Wilson. So
so at the time there were 3 freshmen, well, technically 4. There were 3 to 4 freshmen that were dressing varsity. It was me, Colin, Joe McGranahan. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yep. Joe McGranahan.
And there was a receiver. I don't know what happened to this cat, but he was special. Jamal Roberts.
Terry mentioned him in his interview. Terry's on the chat now. What's up, Terry Maples? What's up, Troy? What's up, Shane McGee? What was his name, Terry? There was that great receiver you were talking about on your interview that kind of just disappeared. Hold on one second. Jamel Roberts.
Yeah, that cat was special, dude. Yeah. So let me tell you a funny story. You mentioned Oak Ridge. Back when we were in high school on the football field, Oak Ridge, they had beasts out there. It looked like a top. Yeah.
I call them the mutants. They were like.
So I don't know if you remember this. So we're getting ready to scrimmage them before the season starts. I am at the time the backup inside linebacker. We ran a 4-4 defense with 2 inside linebackers. I think it was Tom. Tom got dinged up. So that moved me up to starting as a freshman. And my first start was against Oak Ridge. And, buddy, I tell you what, my butthole was puckered the whole time. Them boys were big.
They were. They were big, and they dressed out 85 guys. And that whole intimidation thing when they come down the stairs and the railroad crossing and all that. They were. The sad thing is, I'm surprised they don't have more state championships on that scoreboard. The fact that they haven't won one since '93, but it was always Murfreesboro, Riverdale that stood in their way back then, and so forth, or Dobbins Bennett. So Two-Pair, what question do you have for our mayor here, brother?
Yeah, so man, like when I want to say, was it like your sophomore year that you made that transition to a whole different position? Because I remember football camp. I want to say, was this the first year under Rogers?
Yes.
At football camp with. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I was a freshman that year. Did you get hurt at football camp that year?
I dislocated my knee. And I'll tell you what happened.
Was it the same knee? Was it the same knee?
Same knee, dude. Same knee.
Wow.
but I that didn't keep me out, but just like a week. So what had happened, Coach Rogers comes in, offense is completely different. I wasn't an offensive lineman, man. I was 225, I think, and let's be real, 225 playing the schedule we had, dude, you're lighting the britches, man. And so they had me at pulling guard. So I'm trying to learn that. I had big Michael Knight at left tackle. That joker was humongous. So we were scrimmaging some team out of Kentucky. He pretty much body slams the dude next to me, and it hit the side of my leg, kneecap popped out. But Troy Smith mentioned the 1999 Fulton game that's on YouTube. I got
2000.
my first.
Sorry, 2000.
2000.
It's our junior year.
My fault.
Yeah, no worries.
No. There is a 99 one.
Oh, there is. Oh,
yeah.
Is that when DeMarcus Fine played for them? I think it was. Yeah.
He lit us up.
Yeah.
Lit us up. But I got my first offensive line start that game. And let me tell you the thing. You can go back and watch this. So I'm 225. I'm a sophomore playing guard. Fulton's got a defensive tackle. I don't know his name, but that joker was 360.
Willie Todd?
It was Willie.
Willie Todd.
So one of the things, Coach Rogers knew that I was nervous. It's a new position, and I got a dude over 100 pounds I'm going up against. So he told me, he said, TJ, he said, this first play, we're giving it to Tommy right up your butt. And I said, oh, Lord. Tommy I think he got a first down. And so after that first play, I was like, all right, I can do this. So I rolled with it. And later that year, some more dings and injuries, but I ended up transitioning to center. And that's where I played my junior year, and probably my favorite position.
Apparently, the Todd gentleman that you're referring to, he recently just passed away, according to Michael Lynn.
I didn't know that.
Willie
Todd. Willie Todd was a good one.
Man,
rest in peace.
That's wild.
There's too many. That's what I'm saying. There's just too many of us gone. Tim Thomas that we mentioned in the last show, one of our teammates, Sadat's been gone for a few years now, and it breaks my heart, man. That's why I try to live every day to the fullest,
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
So then you transitioned to center, and did you, I guess going into that junior year, since you knew you were going to be playing that, is that when you started putting weight on so that way you could contend with these big nose tackles and defensive tackles, like you said, with the schedule we were facing, like the Centrals, the Beardens, the Farragut was Jamboree, but I'm just saying, Marable, you knew what was coming on that schedule. So.
Yeah, I think I got up to like 265, and I couldn't get any bigger. Still felt small playing center at 265, but that was at the time, that was as big as I could get. But I like that position better than pulling guard. Once I had that first knee injury, my quickness, especially laterally, it hurt me. And so with our offense that we had, and a lot of the pulling guards, I didn't feel comfortable pulling. So center was I got a funny Terry Maples story, man. Can I tell it real quick? So, man, we're in 8th grade. I'm playing at West. I'm starting a middle linebacker. I think they had moved me around a lot. So depending on who we played, some games I was defensive end, sometimes outside linebacker, sometimes inside linebacker. We're playing Powell. I don't know Terry Maples. All right. He's their quarterback. And I think I'm coming in on a blitz, and I'm getting ready to light this joker up. I mean, I'm going to send him to another planet. This cat, I don't know where he went. I still don't know where he went. He took a little sidestep, did a little juke. Next thing I know, I'm hugging air and I'm hugging grass. So, Terry, I owe you one, dude.
Yeah, Look at the picture behind me. Troy has a point. You may have been 225, but in the program they put you at 320, and they
Did
gave
they
you a
really?
couple extra inches to make you 6'5". I mean, and yeah, those shoulder pads made him look like he was Goliath. Honestly,
Oh yeah.
Huge shoulder pads. You can't even wear shoulder pads like that these days.
those shoulder pads were ridiculous. I'm gonna move out of the way so I could just see young TJ, young Mayor, right here. Honestly, look at.
Hey man, those shoulder pads back in the day, dude, they protected you. These guys, these shoulder pads they're wearing now is like my old granny's shoulder pads that she wears to church, man.
I'm gonna tell you this. I've noticed a lot more collarbones breaking if you get my gist or shoulder
Oh.
separations happening very easily with the type of shoulder pads that are worn now. So yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
So TJ, like when you go into that transition on the offensive line, what was like the game that stood out to where it's like you might want to do this in college? Was there ever a game like that that just stood out for you on that offensive line?
Well, I mean, I always wanted to play college ball. Honest to God, my first start, my sophomore year, my first offensive line start. I'm sitting here reading what Troy's saying. Okay, but anyways, as undersized as I was my sophomore year, that first hit against Willie Todd, a dude that had 100, 150 pounds on me, and then Tommy does his thing. I was like, you know what, I can do this. My grandfather was a college offensive lineman, so I wanted to follow his footsteps. And then when I got my first letter, I think it's from Eastern Kentucky. I can't remember why it's sophomore, junior. I can't remember. But I was like, okay, this is real. But like Troy talked about last episode, I got tons of letters from tons of schools. They know what to do with it. We didn't have anybody saying, okay, TJ, this is what you got to do. Didn't have that. My grandfather couldn't help me because he played college ball in the 50s.
Different game.
College, yeah, it's a different game, man. So, I enjoyed center. That I really did.
Real quick, shout out to our brother Shane McGee. My son freaks out when he sees the pads we wore compared to what he wears now and so forth. Because his son plays on the Bearden team, then Shane coaches that. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah. TJ, let me ask you this, man. You and me talked off camera, and I want you to tell that funny weightlifting story, going from that sophomore to junior year, because, obviously you talk about you had to put the weight on and so forth. And, the thing that players know, or they should, if they're well-versed with a good nutrition program, all that stuff, there's good weight and there's bad weight. And the thing is, great, eat, but what are you putting in your body to be conditioned to play, ultimately 48 minutes of football at high school level, and then obviously 60 when you get onto the college and pro level. But in the weight room, you were a beast. And I felt like I would be better, even though I couldn't even throw up near the weight that you could throw up or what have you. But at least it got me to be like, listen, I can't do 300 plus pounds on the bench like this guy can, but at least I can strive to do reps, and he pushes me to be better. But talk to me about a weightlifting story we talked about, because not only was I the new cat in the room, but there was another player that came in at the same time as me, and he just happened to be thinking that he knew everything and was trying to tell everybody how to do lateral pull downs, which just happened to be next to the attacker machine that you were on at the time. So go on ahead and tell that story.
So you had to refresh my memory because I had forgotten this one. So this cat will go unnamed, but essentially, when we're in the weight room, it's business. It's time to get better. You just get in there and do your thing. And this cat shows up. I can't remember. I know was their sophomore year?
Well, we were going into our junior year, but yes, we were technically sophomores. It was January workouts, getting ready for spring ball in April. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this cat comes over to me and he's like, "Let me show you how to do that." I'm like, "Who are you, man?" I'm good. You don't have to show me anything in the weight room. Do you want me to show you something? And I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way. And I was like, well, I'm going to take care of him on the practice field. And, well, it happened. So it's part
First
of it, man.
practice, we're in that bowl, that circle, and he destroys this cat. I can't say his name, and I'm going to respect it. But you talk about, and the funny thing is, the next day in English, TJ, you don't even know this part because you weren't in that Miss Griman's English class. It was me, Ali Aish, Scott Rayleigh, Terry Maples, and you see, Ali wasn't even playing football by this point. But for
I
him
loved
to laugh
Ali.
the way that Ali Aish laughed at things and so forth like that,
Yeah.
this cat was bragging in this English class. I had a pretty good first day. And Terry Maples goes, yeah, this was your first day. And then he fakes like he falls backwards. I fell on the floor laughing like I normally do, like the hyena goofball I am, because it was one of those funny moments. And I don't even know if Terry remembers that. But but that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
2 go in and 1 went completely flat is what happened right there. And you made good on your promise. And that's what always stood out to me, honestly. You said, who is this? It's like if you ever watch a Shawn Michaels match when he's trying to be funny with Triple H when they were DX and he's like, who is that I just eliminated? That was you with this cat, honestly. It was that funny. And I think everybody took turns over that next couple of years beating the absolute shit out of that guy. And it was well deserved too. That's the sad thing. So yeah. But
Well, speaking of weight room, I know the dude's listening. So I
Terry
want
Maples
to,
remembers it. He does remember it. I knew he was.
So this dude's listening. He was a year ahead of us, James, and I remember it was one of my first couple days in the weight room with the guys, and I knew some of the older cats. I was a freshman. I said, "Hey man," I said, I'm gonna be playing linebacker. I'm gonna be playing fullback. Who are some of the other linebackers?" And they pointed at Michael Lynn. And you look at Michael Lynn, and dude was like $160, maybe.
Keep talking, but I
And
just want to get the chat box. Keep talking. So
yeah. I mean, like $160. So I'm sitting here looking at him, and I'm like, nah, I'm not worried about that. And like John Moore, Craig Taylor, and a few others, they were like, listen, that kid, he'll knock you out. I'm like, no, he ain't knocking nobody out. Boy, was I wrong. That joker, we called him Skeletor.
Skeletor, yes. I
Yeah,
remember that.
I'm telling you, that dude, and I've got a Michael Lynn hit story we can get to later on, but I'm telling you, when that dude hit you, you felt it.
Oh, dude, I shared the story last week. If I could ask two pair, but I think I'm going to ask him on his birthday show or whatever. But if anybody asked me who busted me, it was Lynn. And I was like, that's Ivan Drago. If I'm the Italian Stallion, I just got Rocky Balboa knocked out. I'm Apollo Creed on the ground or whatever, shaking at this point, honestly. He was just, he was Skeletor Drago, and he was quiet about it. It was like,
Oh,
you will lose. It really, you will lose. It was
he
like that. So
he showed no emotion. It was just always, you didn't know if he was hurt, didn't know if he's happy, didn't know if he's sad, didn't know if he's mad. But I'm gonna go ahead and jump into that hit story from Michael Lynn.
please do.
We were in I think it was a spring scrimmage. We had Jeff County was there, Heritage was there. But anyways, we're scrimmaging Jeff County. I'm at right defensive end. Lynn's playing right outside linebacker right behind me. They run a toss sweep towards us. And I was like, okay. So I had the tight end tackle, whatever. He didn't want none. So I've got perfect position to get this dude. Lynn comes out of nowhere, like he got airdropped and hit this running back so hard. That's a scrimmage, Yeah, I'm going to bring it during a scrimmage, but there's a difference between a scrimmage and a game,
Mm-hmm.
Lynn hit this kid so hard. I went over. I felt bad for the running back, man. I go over and pick him up. I'm like, hey, dude, it's gonna be okay. Don't run at 60 no more. And I go back to Lynn. I was like, Lynn, this is a scrimmage, man. What are you doing trying to kill people? No, don't worry about it. He'll be all right. Man, that cat was
You
different,
lost.
dude.
So I
good.
gotta ask.
Yeah.
Did you ever receive the infamous I made a snot bubble T-shirt? Did you ever receive one of those?
I don't remember that.
The snot bubble Yeah, do y'all remember the snot bubble T-shirts?
Yeah. Well, I remember the snot bubble because of the program movie. Troy mentioned the program. You talk about somebody that watched it religiously. I could quote that movie, but the snot bubble in the nose, like that's what James Caan said. I want to see nothing but snot bubbles in his nose. You take that helmet and put it here in the chest. So
I remember Mike Courtney got that T-shirt. And I remember it's like that was the thing, like whoever caused the best hits. But yeah, Mike Lynn is one of those linebackers that everybody remember. Like I put Judge Chandler, like them dudes in the conversation. Like Mike Lynn has got to be one of the most hardest hitting linebackers. I seen Mike Lynn. This is like in Harrogate. I won't say football camp. We went to Harrogate, to LMU. This man hit somebody so hard. I think it was Matt Comer.
Oh.
Man,
I ain't never seen nobody get hit so hard they caught a cramp. Like I ain't never seen that.
You want to know something? Can I say this? And no disrespect, because Troy really brought it last week, and I love me some Troy Smith. But, you talk about the legend of Jimbo Rayleigh or whatever like that. I think that the Michael Lynn legend has actually surpassed the Jimbo Rayleigh legend. I don't know. I mean, because I've not heard anybody say they got knocked out by Jimbo. I'm hearing more Michael Lynn than Jimbo Rayleigh. And the fact that you had them both on the field at the same time is something special, even though, I mean. So.
I'm going to be honest with you. Jim and I only hit twice in practice. And caught him slipping on one, and then I made him mad, and he popped me the next time. But I'm telling you, man, Lynn, if Lynn was 225, 6'1", that joker, shoot, he may have been playing on Sunday, dude. I'm telling you, deceptively athletic, hit like a truck. But if you look at the linebacker core that team had, oh boy. You factor in Britton Leach, one of the hardest working, smartest, nicest dudes you'll ever meet in your life. Jim Rayleigh, Michael Lynn, William Ergen, Sadat Faust. I felt like we had a who's list at linebacker.
That front seven, front eight, whatever the hell you want to call it, was unbelievable. Sean Eckel, Daniel Stewart, Troy, Tim. I think Tim played more offense, but you still had him that you could rotate in. I mean, you had some dudes up front there, By the way, speaking of Britton Leach, I'm glad that you actually brought that up, because Troy had a nice compliment for you. He said that you always reminded him of a larger Britton Leach, the way you were in the weight room with the weight belt, the weight gloves, all business, ready to go. So, yeah.
Hey, I still, so I'm in the gym every day. I still rock the weight gloves, and my son's high school buddies give me a hard time, but hey, man, I'm still rocking those weight gloves.
Hey, listen, let me tell you this. You can get hurt in the weight room. I've seen somebody pop their sternum out because they thought they could bench something, and they had another thing coming when the spotter wasn't paying attention. Pop their sternum right out. It was terrible, honestly. Yeah. So you got to be smart in that. But you have our individual friend who will remain nameless, giving lessons for people, and he didn't even know what was going on in life, let alone to teach somebody in the weight room how to properly lift. So, yeah, honestly. So, yeah.
And I wish that cat nothing but the best, but he'll remain unnamed.
I'm gonna tell you this: for somebody that I didn't think he'd make it this far, he's done very well for himself. He's done a lot better than and so it shows that you can be a screw up and still put it together, and by default be a rebel with a cause. But yeah, so that's all I got to say about that cat. So yeah, for sure. So, yeah. There's going to be a Troy. There is a comment that I have been told I cannot put on this and so forth. So that one will stay in the private chat room. My friends can luckily just look at that in the chat room. If you guys have access to it, I cannot share that one. And that was per the mayor because of his status. So that's how that one. We can share that on the Michael Lynn story next week because I hope to have Michael Lynn on next week if he's free. That'd be pretty awesome if
I'll
if
definitely
he can
tune
make
in.
the time. So yeah, for sure. TJ, so let's talk about, so obviously third run in the freshman jamboree against Bearden, hurt, season done. Sophomore year, bad luck at camp, knee popped out, but you played through it, learning a new position, dings all around. Now you're junior year and you've transitioned to center. And you stayed healthy for those first 7 games. And then we get to game 8.
Yeah.
At Halls. Talk to me. And here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize this. This was our chance. We had let some slip. The Clinton game was just disgusting weeks before of how we blew a 20-0 lead only to lose 21-20. If we win that Clinton game, there's a chance we make the playoffs as the 4th seed, but still make the playoffs, despite already losing to Powell.
Right.
But the Halls game was kind of like an elimination game at this point. So we win the Halls game. We still have to beat South Doyle, but we looked like we were the better team to win that one. So basically it comes down to this Halls game to make the playoffs that year. Talk to me about that game, because that game pretty much defined where the rest of your football career went.
So it started, and I hope somebody can remember this. It started in their funky little visitor locker room. I wore spiked cleats, spikes you could take out, and change them out. We got in there and they had like wax on that floor that was so stinking thick. And as soon as you put your cleats on, man, it was like ice skating. And I popped my knee out in the visitor locker room, losing my footing. And I was mad. I popped it back in, didn't say nothing, get back out on the field. That game was pretty.
Hate to interrupt you. Is it the same knee that popped out? Is it the same knee? Same knee,
man.
Okay, just to make sure. Okay.
So that game was pretty chippy. We didn't like them. They didn't like us. I'm fine with that. But they had a little running back named Timbo Lively. Dude was like $130, but he could fly. My goal was to get a hold of him and break him in half. And we punted the ball, and I noticed when we were punting, there was nobody blocking them. And they weren't coming after the punt. So as soon as that center snapped it, I took off. I'm trying my best to break this kid in half because, I mean, the kid could move. He was their speed. I just wanted to take that speed, put it on the sideline. All I know is I had a dude come from the right, a dude come to the left, kind of a high-low thing, and the knee popped out again. It was on the side of my leg. And that was it.
Was your injury before or after Lynn's? Because
after. I think I think it was after Lynn. And
because when he got hurt, I felt we lost our Hector on the field.
Yeah.
Like it kind of stuns you when your senior defensive captain, middle linebacker, calls the plays, is the captain of the defense. When he goes down, that lets the air out of the balloon, to be honest with you. So yeah,
absolutely. And Lynn's injury was devastating. It was nasty. And you knew, if Lynn's down, it's bad. Because Lynn's one of the toughest dudes I'd ever met in my life. And, you never saw Lynn hurt. And when I saw him down, I was like, okay, this is bad. And it was.
Yeah. And then you get hurt. And the sad thing is the score's 45-15 is the final. and the sad thing is our record was 4-6 that year, but every win, every loss, there weren't many blowouts, you know what I
Right.
mean, type of a thing. And the sad part is that I know that Hall's team was not 30 points better than our West team. I know they
No,
were not. But
we beat them the year before.
yeah, exactly. And realistically, to lose, your center is a very important position, like you've got to know everything, and it starts with you. You're snapping the ball. So we've lost you, and now we have, what was it, Dayton Ogle or Channing McDonald at center the last, who was your backup?
So this is where it got a little funky. So Scott Rayleigh was backing me up at center,
Oh, wow. Okay.
but during practice, Scott was like, "Hey man, I'm a defensive dude. You're the center. I don't need to learn that." So Scott's my boy. I'm coming off the field, can't walk. Scott's going in, and Scott will tell you, Scott didn't have a clue. And I think he lasted one series, and they brought Channing McDonald,
Yep.
and Channing took off for the remaining games at center. So
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because I think Dayton Ogle was the center for JV, so I didn't know if he was your backup or not, and so forth, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, it was Scott, but it
Yeah.
ended up with Channing. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and I knew Scott was primarily defensive end. I mean, that's what Scott was. That was his position, and obviously you played the whole game, so you really didn't have even him, and we never really had blowouts to have him come in to learn or anything like that.
Right.
So, but I remember the bus ride was so quiet. It was dark, lights off. I think that the radio wasn't even on. I mean, it was just quiet. It was like, we have 2 more games left, Central and South Doyle respectively. Central was the senior day the following week, which I hate it for Lynn that he didn't even get to participate in that one and so forth, obviously. But the fact is that we still had 2 games left, both region games, but it really felt our season was already over that night. That's a sad thing to think about when, you're in middle of October and you should be really getting ready for the playoff run. And shoulder pads are starting to get turned in at this point. Guys have had enough. Guys have quit. It was amazing that we won that South Doyle game 6-5. Nobody remembers that we won 6-5 in a football game against South Doyle. So to end it, and I was glad to send the seniors out with a win. But man, it just seemed like that season was a lot of what ifs. What could have been, what could have gone better. And I just felt we had way too much talent on that team. It just wasn't coached correctly. I mean, you have a guy as the offensive coordinator that's a defensive guy, but you just put him on staff because there was nowhere else for him to go. I mean, let's hire somebody that knows the positions and but like Troy said, there wasn't money. There wasn't anything out there like there is now.
Yeah.
And you've got people that care. That coaching staff at West right now, from top to bottom, is absolutely all in. And they like each other. There's not half on this side, half on that side. They pray together. They eat together. They celebrate together. They win. And they don't really lose together. But still, if it happens, it happens.
So, James, if you don't care, I'd like to comment on the coaching.
Please. This is your
Go for him. Yeah, talk about it.
Yeah, especially the OC, because when I made the transition to center, and I was all in, I immersed myself in that position and wanted to learn as much as I could. So Coach Boggs would actually bring me in on like Saturdays and show me film. And he didn't live too far from me, so I'd pop in and grab tape and take it home and stuff like that. I appreciated Coach Boggs. I actually thought, talking with him one-on-one as much as I did, I thought he had a great offensive mind. And I don't know if people know this or not, but when he left West, he went to be a head coach at some other schools. He won a couple of state titles down in Georgia.
Mm-hmm. You did.
You don't win state titles in Georgia being a scrub. you know. So if you look at that coaching staff, we had 2 assistants that went on to win state titles as head coaches, Boggs and Cummings. I can't verify this. This is just me putting my perspective on it. I think where we had some Wilson holdovers and some Rogers guys, I think there was some tension there.
Yeah.
And I don't think everybody was on the same page, which, hurt us as players and hurt us as a team. But I think we did have some good dudes. Love Coach Rayleigh. That was my guy. Coach Mays, Coach Witt, Coach Orlando, all those cats. And now I'll say this: the assistant coaches that got brought in our senior year, oh buddy, that was rough.
Yeah,
and I don't even remember half those cats' names.
We don't need to mention them. We really don't. I've got to be careful with that. But you talk about you being careful. I got to be careful with that.
I got you.
But I'll say it like this: shoes are great, but some people are meant to be shoe salesmen, and some people are meant to be coaches, and sometimes that doesn't mix. I mean, anybody can play NCAA 2014 and come up with plays too. So,
I'm not here to bash anybody, but
No.
this was my only dealing with the shoes dude you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the field house. This is my senior year. I walk into the coach's office and he stops and goes, "Who the heck are you?" And I'm like, "Who are you?" And that's when I knew. I was like, this cat ain't gonna make it. Yeah. Not a fan.
Yeah. I had a very similar experience with the gentleman that you're talking about. I was just not paying attention, and I accidentally ran into him as we're coming through that little, remember the old field house, how tight the doors were and everything like that?
Oh, yeah.
I was talking with Chad Haynes or something, and I accidentally bumped into him, and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, my bad." And the guy says to me, "Yeah, it is your bad." And I'm like, "Yo, you're going to go like that at a kid, at a 17-year-old? And I'm even the one taking the blame. I do acknowledge I ran into you. I wasn't one of these snots that was, and I knew I was, and like you, I was like, wow, this is going to be somebody that is going to be around children or,
Yeah.
What do you
He had no bit.
What do you think went wrong with guys that were Wilson guys that were Rogers guys? What was the tension? So was it because Wilson was gone, Rogers was there, and the Wilson guys, a lot of Wilson guys left?
Yeah,
a lot of Wilson guys did leave. There were some holdovers. Again, I'm what I'm going to say is just pure speculation. I think there were some different philosophy views when it comes to football that created some tension. And then at the end of the day, I'm just going to be real. There were some personality clashes. Because
I think there was age too. I hate to be that way. I think age also factored in. You had 2 different generations also on a staff. And here's the thing. I love talking ball with an older coach, because they saw a game transition from where you handed it off 50 times to now we throw it 50 times. You know what I mean? Yep. And then there was everything in between. But you look at the philosophies, like you said, it's like, when do you go prevent? When do you, keep attacking type of a thing? And again, the coaches also have the people that they look up to, the big names like the Lombardis and the ones that have written the books now and so forth like that, and their styles of play. But I think that was also a factor, if I can speak on it for a moment.
Absolutely.
Because that's a great thing. And look no further than, I think I saw it. I forget how I saw it because I wasn't there when Wilson was there that last year. But there's a picture, I think he made his office, that was that coaching staff for the 90 8. It would have been your freshman year. It would have been your freshman year, TJ. And you had at least 8 or 9 coaches up there. I think Carruthers was up there. I think Barwick was up there as well, if I'm not mistaken. And
Turbo was there.
Turbo, who was one of his best players, in the 94 special squad. But then you look the next year, and if you guys can wait one moment, I don't really like to go off camera, but I'm going to show you the program of the coaching staff so everybody can see that it was just not a very large coaching staff. And it's really kind of hard to fathom from a standpoint that it was like, come on, like you had a huge staff with Wilson, and now you don't have those same numbers. So keep talking while I look this up because I want to show everybody just so they know. So yeah,
that's always it. This is one thing I always wondered about, like, because when I got to West, Rogers was the coach and Wilson wasn't, and Wilson was my driver's instructor, and I in a high regard, but like I will say, like Coach Rogers, he tried to get everybody in their mama to play football, and that's like I'm a basketball guy playing football. It was an easy transition, but I was more concerned about the hardwood than the football field. Because I was getting a lot of headaches from going up against some of them dudes I was going up against.
Yeah.
It was brutal. Like those 2-a-day, we were doing 2-a-days at LMU.
Yeah.
Then the 3-a-days the next
So here's that picture. I don't know if anybody can see it really clearly. Let me see if I can get it right there and so forth.
Wow.
So they have their bios, but also that is the staff picture of just the coaches that they
How
took.
many dudes is it?
Not many.
Not many. So, but
A lot of coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean that was the staff and so forth. And then if you want to see the team picture real quick with them across the top row with all of us on there and so forth. I don't know if it's coming.
It's like what, 6 or 7 guys?
Just the 7 guys. Yep. So that was that year, that was that year and so forth. And, TJ, we talked off camera, when you got to that senior year, it hurt me to see you were just wanting to be around football. They named you student coach. That's what that was your title in the 2001 program that I have here. And then there's you in the back row, like dressed as a coach with a shirt and a visor. And then there's us, Terry, Scott, myself. I mean, but that is our senior class, and that's what's left of that team and everything are going into our senior year. So what made you decide to not try again? I mean, was the knee that bad that they told you can't play again? What happened with that?
Yeah, the after the surgery my junior year, pretty extensive surgery, doc told me to stop. But I felt like I had a pretty a good idea of what my body could do and what it couldn't do. So, I was continuing to work, trying to get back on to the field. Just wasn't there, man. And I could not be around my senior class on the sideline. Call it selfish, call it whatever. It was eating me up inside. And I knew that if I went on to the field, I was going to put a bad product on the field. And I didn't want to do that to you guys either. So I told Rogers, I said, I'm done. I said, I'm stepping away. And it hurt me so bad. I couldn't go to games. I had a hard time talking to football players on Friday. That's how bad it hurt me. Mm-hmm. But it was what it was, man.
I wanted to go to the chat box a little bit and so forth because there were some really good comments and so forth. I want to go back to that Halls game and so forth. real quick. Michael Lynn said that was actually Friday the 13th that game took place.
was.
So that you're
Yeah.
right about that. I forgot. After was mentioned because I was on the cart when they needed it. Laugh out loud. So Michael was still getting called and everything like that, or getting put in the ambulance and so forth. Terry writes it was after the whole stadium was silent. Yeah. Troy writes that game was a wet day and we still had a chance though.
That score was deceiving.
Yeah, it was. That's what I'm saying. Like it was close before. It was just like the second half and everything like that. And I don't know that the locker room was at halftime. If I'm not mistaken, though, your injuries all happened in the second quarter too. Like it wasn't. Was it after halftime? I mean, I'm trying to. Because I was in a boot myself with a broken ankle. I wasn't even playing, so I was done. I got hurt in the Clinton JV game, so yeah, and I was done for the year with a broken ankle. So yeah,
I don't remember what quarter it happened. I know Demetrius Strickland went off on that game.
Mm-hmm.
They had a hard time containing him.
Yeah.
And I go back. It's funny. I still got the somewhere here in the house. I still got the paper. It talks about Lynn's injury and my injury, but if you look at the box score, the score was deceiving, even though it looked like a butt whooping.
Lynn's got the game on tape. He told me he's never watched it, obviously, but I think he's got the game on tape. He told me. So yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, Troy even says I thought it was closer. We were, yeah. I mean, it was close for a bit, but I think like in that fourth quarter, they made the score look a lot worse. But look at it.
Yeah.
You're down a middle linebacker. You're down your starting center. You can't even get somebody to really snap the ball to Wallace, and and I don't even think Tommy was playing in that game, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think Tommy was.
I don't think he was. I think it was Demetrius.
It was Demetrius that was running the ball at that point. Him or maybe Matt White at that point. I don't know. Somebody was running the ball.
And let's be real about Strickland. Strickland was one of the most athletic dudes I ever met in my life. Mm-hmm. However, he didn't have the power Tommy had.
Yeah, no, he didn't. So, yeah, it was close, like Lynn said. So, let me see here. What else? Let's see here. Troy goes, where does James find this stuff, bro? This guy is like TMZ. Well, I'll reveal it. Here's the thing. You remember how I mentioned that there were no stats taken officially until Cummings got put in there in 2003, which is beyond disgusting. But that being said, though, somebody has coordinated from Alabama, of all places, having conversations with old coaches and stuff like that. They've compiled scores for all the high school teams from 1970 on to now. Actually, they stopped at about the COVID year. They stopped at the COVID year, which stinks because I'd like to fill those in, especially since we've won 2 titles since then. But the scores, Coach T only goes back as far as 2002, which would be the year after we graduated. And that would be 2 years after Troy and Michael's group. But the scores are found on this website called it's ahfs.com. You can look it up and so forth. Don't click Alabama, obviously. Click Tennessee. And that's where I get a lot of my old scores and things. And it'll tell you who the coaches were, the district standings. It's incredible. And the fact is, it even tells you how many points were scored based on those scores and how many points were allowed as well. So I wanted to give Troy that answer and so forth. So yeah, Michael goes, yep, he's got it all. Troy, TMZ, Terry Maples, waiting for the ambulance. Laugh out loud. Good times. I just learned something here. Freaking TJ didn't play his final year. Wow. Yeah, Troy, that was a real thing. A lot of us didn't play that senior year, and obviously, TJ, I hope that we can get this cat on here because I want everybody to answer for themselves and everything. But, that senior year for the class of 2002, I'm not trying to play the victim. Absolutely not. But could you think of more changes that happened from January to that end of that season in that calendar year of what happened? Is incredible. I mean, the fact that Coach Rayleigh calls on the loudspeaker in the office, I'd like all my defensive players to come into the gym, and tells us he's retiring because Rogers was just relegating him to continue being the JV coach as well as just different position on the defensive side of the ball. He was not even going to be allowed to coach linebackers. Rodgers wanted to coach linebackers and be the defensive coordinator. And Rayleigh told him to, take a hike, kick rocks. So that starts there. And right off the bat, Eric Justice quits. I really didn't know if I wanted to continue to play because Rayleigh was tough on me, but he was one of those coaches that wanted you to get better, and it made you better to motivate you. This soft stuff, I don't play.
Yeah.
But there's ways you can push kids in a positive way, and Rayleigh was that guy. He was funny about it too. Kind of like Wilson in that mold. That's probably why they got along so well, But the truth of the matter is that you had guys, am I going to play? Am I not? Having to be talked into doing it even. And it wasn't fun anymore. It was one of those things where this isn't fun. It should be fun. This is a chore. This is like, oh my God. And if you don't believe in the product, you don't believe in the product. I mean, that's it. And my hat's off to Scott Rayleigh, because if my dad, who had been a staple of that school as a teacher, as a coach, and my senior year can't play for my dad, God, man, he's a warrior, dude. I mean, he loved the game so much. And maybe they had a private conversation that I wasn't privy to as father and son. But I respect the hell out of him, because that's not easy when you see your dad pretty much fired or resigned, however you want to look at it, potato. But you being his close friend, I mean, how would you have handled that situation had you been him, man? And you were able to play with a healthy couple knees and so forth. So, yeah.
I remember being stunned. I admired Coach Rayleigh, still do. I say this jokingly. I was terrified of that man. I remember the first time I wasn't terrified of him. I come in on leave while I was in the Army, and I was hanging out at Scott's house, and I was like, I'm not afraid of Coach Rayleigh anymore.
He did have that presence about him, but yeah.
Oh man, yeah, he did. But that was Scott and I have talked about that senior year and everything that transpired, and I don't want to speak for him.
Yeah.
I'll let Scott do that. But if I try to put myself in his shoes, that would be one of the most difficult things to have to go through, as a high school football player. Your dad not there, and he's always been there. So, it was a mess. It was a hot mess. It really was.
I mean, do you remember the News Sentinel story about the Rayleighs that they did? It was featured. It was about Jimbo as a senior, Scott as a sophomore, and they talked about Rayleigh's days playing at Fulton, because he played at Fulton, if I'm not mistaken. And so what a hell of a feature story by the Knoxville News Sentinel, Prep Extra guy back then. And, it really was the Rayleighs, like I felt, were like this like football, like family name of West or something like that. And there's been other families that have come since then. But to have a coach and his two sons on there at the same time, that's special. That's kind of like Powell. You remember with the Bruins and all that and so forth,
Oh yeah, very familiar with the Bruins.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's others. There's others and so forth that I can't think of off that we could be
the Little Johns.
But I guess what it just to start the year off with that. And then what a lot of people don't know, and Troy, you don't even know this or what have you. And again, the head coach can determine this whenever he wants. But for us to have spring practice in the dead cold of January and February of that, because the players he wanted to feature, he didn't want it to interfere with their track schedule, because in years past, they were not available for spring ball. So he felt the need to move practice up to January. And I remember being in a turtleneck, long sleeves for that first practice and everything like that. And spring ball is supposed to be spring ball, So I hate that you're not in this, because Troy mentioned it, like Two Pair's not really with these stories, but I'm sure there's basketball stuff that I will never know about. you know what I mean, type of a thing.
No, like,
That you could,
yeah.
yeah. So, but anybody that watches this now that's a football player now, or that was a football player under the Cummings regime that won that first state title or was competitive during the Deshaun Mobley years, you don't know how good you guys had it.
People don't understand that though. Like, it's why, like, for me, it was like those first 2 years I was really gonna go hard at football. It's just I was a basketball guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a really good basketball player. Like, you know what I'm saying? Back then, not now. I mean, I'm terrible now. But back then, football was I just like the contact. But I was playing super midget football for Central at the time. And so I was banking on going to Central until we moved, and I was like right in that west area. You know what I'm saying? So it was like that was the best thing that ever happened to me, though. I really do wish there's sometimes like I really wish I would have stuck with it through all 4 years. It was like I would come back once I broke my wrist my senior year in spring practice. I'm like, yeah, football, it just wasn't meant for me at West. Basketball was, and kind of worked out like that.
I'm going to tell you this too, Pear, and you can speak on this. Shane McGee can speak on this if he's still in the chat. You guys being class of 2003, I saw so many numbers come out when Cummings became the guy. It showed. It showed. There was a difference of spring ball. Oh, and imagine this. Spring ball was played in May, by the way. So imagine that, you know.
Jake, can I interject on Cummings?
Please do. Please.
And I'll be honest, my old butt's got maybe about 5 more minutes. So if y'all got any more questions.
Sure.
Cummings' first year coaching as an assistant, if I'm not mistaken, was our sophomore year. And, you know, spending 5 minutes with that cat, talking football with him, I knew, I was like, this dude, he's real. He knows his stuff. And I have the utmost respect for Coach Cummings, and I wish him nothing but the best at Lenore City.
Yeah. Oh, and they got a good one. They got a good one. So especially if they can get past Oak Ridge, and he gets the dudes to come out, he'll get the dudes to come out. They're going to be honestly. So let me just go to the chat box real quick. Terry had a question about something about trying to escape camp. Do you know what he's talking about with there was a story or something? I'm just trying to let me see here. It was like he was escaping from camp or what have you. I mean, there's so many good things in the chat. Yeah. Maybe Terry can ask it again and so forth. I'm trying to find it here, and I know we only got you for a couple of minutes, but you know, I guess the other thing I want to ask you now, obviously you're the mayor of Maynardville, you served in the armed forces and so forth. Real quick, talk about, you know, your journey after you decided to hang it up and you weren't playing football anymore, you know, honestly. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I had a rough senior year because I was lost. You know, football was my identity. And that identity was not there anymore. So I was like,
I remember you worked at Walmart. In the garden section. Yeah, on Walker Springs. Yeah.
I love that. So I thankfully I knew after high school, I knew that, you know, I didn't have the discipline or the drive or the focus to be successful. A recruiter called me out of the blue. I had talked to some other branches and I was like, okay, those branches just aren't my thing. And I clicked with this Army guy. My dad's ex-Army. His dad was ex-Army. And next thing you know, I'm in basic training and got selected for some other stuff. I was on a bids team and did my time in the military. Met my wife while I was in the military. And I was planning on doing my 20 years and hanging it up. And she didn't want to be an Army wife. So I chose her over the Army. And she was a Maynardville girl. And moved up here to Maynardville, coached high school football for a little while. But in 2018, got into local government. Never would have imagined that in high school that is something that I would have done or even thought about doing. but it's probably one of the coolest, most rewarding things I've been a part of is being able to give back to my community and watching our team plant a little seed, whatever it is, and it grow into something that helps the community. One of the things we did is, Maynardville's a small town. They didn't have a city park. We've got our first city park now. We've got a splash pad. I can't say we just got a huge grant. We're getting ready to put up a bunch of basketball courts and pickleball courts and walking trails and, trying to make this more family friendly. And I love being able to serve people in Maynardville. And, as long as the good Lord wants me here serving the people of Maynardville, as long as people of Maynardville want me here serving them, I'm going to serve them. I love it.
Terry, real quick, tell TJ, tell these guys about us picking up Carruthers' car and moving it. Laugh out loud.
I vaguely remember that, man. He may have to comment on that.
You gave me props for all the stuff I remember, like the weight room story and the stuff that's happened on the field and at camps and everything. Terry's right there with me. I think because Terry was always around, like we were always around each other, that we saw the same stuff. And I think we've talked over the years and like, that happened, right? I didn't dream that up. No, it happened. I wish it was a nightmare, but it happened or whatever, like that type of a thing. So, TJ, I can't thank you enough for being on here and spending the time with us to take away from your family. And I want to extend an invite back to you. Either if you can make it, great. If not, I'd love to have you on for my roast here in a couple of weeks. I hope everybody that's in the chat room will be on the roast and can make fun of me. I know that this up top will be the probably laughed at and so forth. I mean, you remember me with the long hair, parting it in the middle and tying it in a ponytail. I mean, like just real Latimer without being Latimer type of thing. Again, I worship the program, but I'm saying like it was just one of them things, like we had a lot of fun and the record may not show it, but you said it best from the beginning. We have a brotherhood and a bond that will be for forever, and so forth. And I know that I could call you guys if I needed something and be like, hey, if you guys got a minute, can you help me with this? And I know that you guys would do it. Honestly, I mean that. So, and that means the world to me.
James, if you don't care, man, I just want to thank you and, what you're doing with the West football program. And, this is the stuff I wish we had when we were in high school. I saw growing up being around the PAL football team, community involvement. I don't know if we really had all that when we were playing.
No.
And they've got community involvement now. We got this, or you guys have this show going on. Dude, that's huge, man. Big shout out to you two guys and all the teammates watching. I love you guys. Wish you nothing but the best. Feel free to hit me up. I'm on Facebook. I can shoot y'all my number out. But I personally want to thank everybody for the great memories. There's not a day that don't go by I don't think about you guys. We went through some battles together, had some laughs, had some tears, had some blood shed on the field, but you guys are awesome, man. I love you guys.
I love you too, man. And I think what was so special is the fact that, we got guys about to be doctors like Troy Smith, you know what I mean? And he wrote a book, I might have a book published by the end of the year, okay, that I've been working on for years. You know what I mean? You're the mayor. Everybody has done some. Terry just started a business of his own, and so forth. And I wish it nothing but success. And brother, if you watch at the beginning, I plugged it right at the beginning. So if you want me to get some more information out there, I'll get you. But, honestly, man, keep doing what you're doing with that community and grow that school. They got a lot. I mean, they just won a baseball championship. They're one win away, technically, of going to state in basketball. I mean, what a great story for Union County High School, man.
Absolutely.
Shout out to you with the state trophy for the baseball team, though, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You look like one of the coaches. You look like you was one of the coaches went holding it.
Hey, man, that was a special team last year. I called them giant killers, man. They beat some big teams and beat some big teams handedly. That was a very, very special team. Coach Orton did a great job. I expect big things out of our baseball team again this year. Again, our basketball team has Fulton tomorrow night in the regional championship. That's not going to be easy.
The Kimber twins.
all.
The Kimber twins. I mean, they're good. So,
Yeah.
Fulton's
they
different, man.
It's double trouble.
They are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those
big
cats
guys.
are different.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
TJ, I know you got to go real quick. Terry said that apparently Carruthers was dogging you guys in practice. So you, him, Colin Carmichael, and Ed Smith picked up this little Toyota Tercel and moved it.
Well, you know, if you put me, Colin, and Ned on a scale, we probably weighed the same as probably 3 of those cars. So,
Hey, brother, real quick. I hope that we can get you out to a game this year at West and so forth, going for that three-peat, honestly. And
yeah,
29-1 over the last 30 games, back-to-back state championships. If you can see it right there, we have been champion of 5A for 453 days and counting.
fantastic.
They have not lost a 5A regular season game except for Powell that happened on October 18th before COVID in 2019. They haven't lost to a 5A opponent since Powell with Walter Nolan in November of 2021. So when I say this program is like the Roman Reigns of wrestling, how does that make you feel knowing you are alum? You say you're proud that you walked through the halls, so am I, and that I got a degree from West High School. But to see the little nephews and nieces, or nephews rather, in football do their thing, I mean, how special is that, honestly?
I'll tell you how special it is. My son's in high school, and I'm in the weight room every day, and my son's high school buddies come up to me and they ask me West stories. They know how special West is. And Union County's special in their own right. Love what Union County's doing, what they got going on. But those guys are so intrigued by the success that West is having. They're like, "Hey, man, tell me some West stories." I'm like, "Okay." So that makes me feel good to know that West is so well thought of. So
yeah, for sure, brother. Pleasure as always, man. You can come on anytime, like the other guests. You're always welcome. I want to have you on a panel to talk about great West teams, great West individual players, anything, man. And just hearing you talk and do your thing, and love to your family with everything you guys have been through. You had a hard year, just like my family did, losing my stepdaughter. I just wanted to say I love you, man. And if you ever need me, I will be there for you, because I never forgot how you put your arm around me and said, "Welcome to West" 25 years ago. So,
love you guys. Love you guys. Appreciate you. If y'all need anything, don't hesitate to holler.
You bet.
The mayor!
The mayor of Maynardville.
Mayor!
The W, man. That's a winner right there. That is a rebel with a cause
mayor
right
of
there.
Maynardville on our show.
Yeah, thanks.
See you guys.
See you, buddy.
The mayor. We had the mayor on the show. Dude,
we've had 2 aspiring doctors, and they will get it done. Dr. Troy Smith, Dr. Michael Morrow. I mean, listen. And this is just the beginning. We want all of them. I'm going to say this. I don't know if she watches the show, but I'm going to reach out to her. And I hope she's our first female athlete, because you know what? Cheerleading is a sport. And she had a set of vocals on her that was wonderful. She was the nicest person that always smiled. Miss Tinian Reed. Miss Tinian Reed.
Definitely do it. Yeah, Tinian.
I want her on there, because she was like, if TJ was the nicest guy to me when I first got to West, Tinian Reed was the nicest girl to me when I got to West, honestly. So, yes, we had musical theater together. And TJ was in that musical theater class. Yeah, so I would love to have her on, because, look at cheerleading now compared to how it was, 25 years ago and even before. I mean, you just kind of sat there and did some routines. Now they got the competition. I mean, people don't know this, but at 2 of our basketball games, the UT cheerleading competition team performed their entire act in front of us. I mean, usually we didn't have nothing for halftime entertainment, and you had the UT cheerleaders doing their routine before they go to nationals or something like that. I mean, that's special. That's special. So yeah.
When saying that though, like Tinian would be great. Carrie Helms as
Yep.
far as girls basketball.
The swimmer, Troy brings up the gold medal swimmer. I can't remember her name.
Julie Stowers.
Yes, her. I mean, I'd love to have her on.
I
Goodness
love to have
gracious.
Julie Stowers on.
Yeah.
There's a bunch though. How about that women's tennis? Jessica Smothers, Beth Bosworth,
Yeah.
Mary Van Vliet. They were that tennis team that won state.
Yes. And who was the golfer that was really good? The girl. I mean, if Stewart was a good guy. Yes, her. Yeah, have her on. So, and so forth. I mean, if you know these people, reach out to them, send them our show. I mean, and listen, it won't hurt my feelings if they don't want to come on. I'm just, I want people to tell their story because it's all sports.
But there's a lot of people that want to be on the show, but there's also like other school guys that would be doing great to be on it, because we don't want to just interview Wes alone. The thing is it's Rebels with a Cause. We really want to open it up to all the high schools because we feel like we have been the bulletin board material for some of you teams, so it's cool. We get it.
Let me ask you this: how much do they hate the Stallion? Because you want to know a joke. Honestly, I'm gonna tell you a joke. I'm either loved or hated. There is no in between. And I made a joke with my oldest best friend, and I said, "Listen, I'm convinced they could send me overseas, and I'll solve whatever problems are going on between these groups because they can just put their hate on this right here." I don't know what it is. I'm almost like an Eric Bischoff, maybe. I don't know, like that. I just have one of them faces you either love or hate, honestly. So
pretty good comparison. I like that. Pretty good.
Hey, listen, but the bulletin board material, I mean, for football, I mean, I let my team do the talking. I'm just giving facts right
I
here.
really think we are the bulletin board material though. Like I'm starting to feel that way. Just the way things have just worked out with how they played, and just it's like I really think we were the bulletin board material.
Yeah.
Like we really were. We are, because not too many schools that they may have their play-by-play, but two guys breaking down a lot of these basketball games and telling you what's wrong with the team and how they can be. Also want to give a good birthday shout out to Kalu Fofana,
the Prince
of Zamunda.
That's right.
I got a lot of high expectations for him, but the guy that I really want to see back healthy is Garrett Birch, and please get Schuler, Birch, and Dupree on the floor together. And I really think Jack Keefe is going to be vital to that bench next year. But it's really on how they how they play this summer. Yeah. If they play well during summer league, I feel like I can do more with this team. Like if allowed, I really would want to get into more skill development with them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think I'm going to talk to Coach Caporo about, is just working on skill development and things that is situational.
You should.
You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't want to step on anyone's toes, but I feel like for as a skill development and from who I talk to and what I know about the game, I think I can get us there. Like if just allowed, if you just give me 3 days with these guys, just give me 3 days a week, and you'll see a different team.
And you want to know something? You know how at the beginning of the show you challenged Devin Martin? I'm going to challenge 2 guys right now and so forth like that. Reese Clark, Jalen Hill, free your mind. Yes, I love movies. This is the Matrix. You guys at times make other teams look silly with how you handle the ball, with how you do things on the court I could dream about.
Mm-hmm.
You guys need to take that next step.
They do.
You don't need to look at a ref when you don't get a call. You need to go out there and be better than what you are, because Two-Pair knows it. I know it. You got to believe in yourselves. And that's the Stallion talking to you, because you guys next year have an opportunity to hang some banners, put some trophies in the case. And it all starts with workouts and how you all play in the summer ball, conditioning, shoot. Make sure that you know your game and develop more chemistry on the court with each other. Go out and, be a close team, go have fun and so forth. That's how the football team gets it done, man. They have a lot of team building activities and things like that, and they do stuff together. I'm not saying you all don't already, but realistically, you guys need to get on the same page and really just play the defense that I know you all are capable of to match that offense. I mean, there were times you could score 90 and then it wasn't there. And I'm like, you don't settle for a hard shot. You're good enough to break somebody down, make the ref call a shot on you, or a foul rather, on you when you're shooting the ball. So I'm challenging you guys, the whole team. And absolutely, if you can get Schuler, Dupree, and Birch out there and they can't get you 1-3 in a minute of action, okay, then I'm wrong. But I guarantee 1-3 will be made by one of those three guys with all three of them on the court, because you spread the defense out that much. They ain't packing it in, and I swear, Devin or Kevin, whoever's down low, easy layup every time. Every time. So, yeah. Two-Pair, before we go, by the way, I wanted to, go to the chat box, because I want to thank Michael Lynn, Troy Smith, Terry Maple, Shane McGee, anybody that was on tonight that contributed. This is the best the chat room and the hottest it has been in 9 episodes, by the way.
It's pretty good, man. I'm glad.
Interaction live. I can't thank you guys enough for staying up late and being with us on a Wednesday night, taken away from your families. One thing Troy brought up, Tommy did play that game. Tommy brought some hope with a long run up the sideline. I mean, yeah, I just don't remember, who was all in there at the end there, because there was a lot of guys that were out, so I don't know if this was directed to me, Troy. I think this is hilarious. I'm just waiting on an interview when he tells somebody and say, hey, I'm glad you mentioned that. I have your grandmother's black book right here. Laugh. I guess that was geared towards me. Hey, I'm a nice guy. What can I say? No, I'm kidding. But anyway, Terry mentioned we had a lot of dudes that were playing out of position. Preach. Michael Lynn goes laugh out loud for sure, Troy. I remember what happened to Coach King when he called Coach Rayleigh Red Dog. Ooh, that's I might have to get Terry Maples on my roast to explain that story the next time or whatever. I hope Terry can be a part of that roast. We talked about the Carruthers story. Shane wanted to comment on that spring practice that senior year. Had a lot of guys come back out, but when the coaching change happened, it got guys excited to be back out there. Our record didn't show it. That is true, but you did win one more game than the year before, and it really built to the playoff run the following year. Let me see here. Troy wrote, told you that brother knows where the bodies are for sure. I think that was geared towards me. Shane also wrote, a few coaches left the program during the spring and it affected development. That happens every time. Let's see here. I don't think Lynn will be able to be for my roast because he'll be in the Bahamas probably during spring break, but he'll make up for it. He can roast me next week if he'll be on the show. I'm extending him an invitation right now to be the guest next week if he's down.
Man, these comments are great. Man.
These are great. It's a great show for sure. Terry Maples writes, that unspoken guy from earlier also ran a 4-minute mile when he was 11.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
That guy, geez. We got to get the old team together and go to a game together, Rebel football reunion. Listen, You know, I'm at every one of them. I'm actually working, but I would take the time to get there. I always get there early. I'd be there, and we can take a picture together and hang out. And the state championship was a lot of fun a few years ago. I remember when we did get together. Michael Lynn says, agreed. Well, that's the reason she was Miss West, talking about Tinian. Terry Maple suggested Ashley Coward. Absolutely.
Ashley Coward was a baller.
Man, that poor girl like played the whole games in that year of 2002, from I remember.
You remember Caitlin Ryan?
I remember Caitlin Ryan. That
Caitlin
was the great Pat Ryan's daughter, and then Jake Ryan, who has the passing yards record as the highest passing West quarterback. By the way, Jake Ryan has that record. So Michael Lynn writes,
Jake Ryan would be great on the show.
Yeah, Jake Ryan would be if I could get him.
Jake Ryan would be great.
Yeah. Troy Smith goes, that was directed to you, sir. Appreciate you.
There's a couple of there's a lot of guys. Definitely want to get Michael Lynn on here. Jason Day. Definitely want to get him. Marlon Bussell, Brian Durrell, Diedrich Elder.
Yeah. Courtney Lindsay. Yeah, she played softball, right?
Courtney Lindsay played softball, volleyball, and basketball.
Yeah, for sure. I will say this, by the way. There's a couple of coaches that I have planned and so forth. They've already agreed.
Definitely got to be on the show.
Yes, he's already agreed. But that guy could talk for 5 hours and I wouldn't get bored, honestly. So the truth of the matter is that will be like a 2-hour show, and I want him to have the 2 hours to devote to it, because he told me he could tell me stuff from when he was a player there. And by the way, props to him tonight. The baseball stadium revealed a new scoreboard. They have their own big screen now and it has Lindsey Hawkins on the scoreboard and
That's
so
awesome.
like that. So
awesome.
A tribute to him and his best friend who passed away before they graduated high school. So So Coach Mays and those kidney stones. God, let me tell you this. I'd have Coach Rayleigh come on here if he would. Honestly,
Coach Rayleigh would be great
to just ask him. I mean,
we got a bunch of people, man.
There is.
A bunch of people. But
that's why we have a show every week. We'll have always something to talk about. And unfortunately, and we can update on how the baseball team does. They're about to start men's soccer. Tucker, you know what I'd love to do? What if you and me went one night to a baseball game and had a hot dog and sat right there and watched a baseball game? I mean, I can't even tell you the last baseball game I went to at West. I was a senior, I would say.
I hadn't seen West play baseball since I was announcing it.
Yeah,
that's bad.
So that was easily 20 years ago.
You know what I'm scared to go. You know why I'm scared to go to a baseball game?
Why?
Because the one baseball game I announced, this is before I got my car, way before I got a car in high school. One of my friends, Lindsay Price, I think either her car got hit or somebody's car got hit.
It was Lindsay Price, and I'm friends with Lindsay still. I'll have to ask her about that. And she's a fan of the show. She watches it occasionally. So
I never wanted to park any of my when they play. I park my car so far away.
I'll park it on the other side of the gym, like in front of the AG building or whatever like that. So.
You ain't hitting my car, Doc.
No. Troy Smith said B-Bell for sure. I will tell you this, Anthony Bennett did promise me to be on the show, so I've extended the invite for B-Bell. I want him on, and whenever he can, that'd be great too.
The thing is, we didn't just want West people. We want we want all just players from every school on the show.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like some bring up guys that you went up against that were tough when we asked that first question of who was the first person to bust your ass. Like, talk about these people. But dang, we made it to 2 hours. So we're over our time.
Yeah, we did. We are over it. So, but all right. So here's the deal. Michael Lynn's accepted the invitation. He said he'll be there. So Michael Lynn, next week you will be on the hot seat for Rebels with a Cause.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Yeah. So we will have Ivan Drago Skeletor on here.
You watch that dude. I ain't seen that linebacking core though. Ergen, Leach, Rayleigh, Lynn. I can still remember the numbers. It's wild. Michael Lynn used to wear number 60.
Yeah.
Of all the numbers.
Yeah.
I never understood why this man wore number 60.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? It's kind of like Ryan Scott wearing 15. You know, he wore 15, and Anderson Smith wears 18, and they're laying the lumber out there. You know what I mean, and so forth. I always saw linebackers with the 40s, like the Bosworth, you know, and everything like that.
You wore what?
45.
45.
I was 45 because that's what my dad wore. My dad wore 45, so I wanted 45 because of my dad. And there's a picture on my Facebook with him wearing his 1960s state championship Edison jersey and me wearing my West jersey with the 245s right before the Bearden game. So
that's pretty cool.
It's a cool picture of my pop.
That's pretty cool. But no, I definitely want to have like there's some other guys that were really like I'd love to have Michael Courtney on the show.
Oh, Courtney would come on. Courtney would come on. No, Courtney would come on. I actually saw him in December at a karaoke bar. Corey Davison was there. Shane McGee was there.
You know what? And then like for the baseball guys, how cool was Zane Jernigan? That dude.
Do you know, I never heard anybody say anything bad about that cat. He was just a guy that everybody liked, honestly.
You could never say anything about him. And a pretty damn good baseball player.
Yes, he was. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, there were some guys that like B-Bell. B-Bell was a tri-sport athlete with football, basketball, and baseball, and he did the traveling thing with those guys. So, you know, I mean, he could talk on baseball, too. He really could.
Yeah, he was one of the best hitters, like in his.
Yeah. You know what? Can I tell you this, Troy? Larry Williford would be amazing because here's the thing: it's very rare that freshmen play varsity, and Larry played varsity that freshman year, your senior year, my junior year, and of course, Larry was a hell of a basketball player. Him and AB together were awesome in that backcourt, that 2014 team. So yeah, for sure. So more young as well. Yeah.
Mac White.
Yeah, Mark and Mike and what was it? Shit. I said his name earlier.
Mac.
Cheese. Yeah. So yeah.
Matt White.
Yeah, Matt White. Yeah, that's right. So yeah.
Cheese one of the best. He was one of the best too. Sakarin Jones, because he was a track star. I mean, dude, and could fly on that football field.
You know what the sad thing is? How in the world did we not come up with a like, hey, Sakarin, run straight, look over your left shoulder. Let's make sure that ball's there. You know what I mean? Type of a thing. Good luck trying to stay in front of him, DBs. Honestly, you know, I just don't know why that.
There's so many guys though, man. Like, you know who I really want on the show?
Who's that?
Avery Boss Graves.
Okay. Boss. Can you make it happen? I mean, that's what I'm asking.
I holler at him. I am friends with his woman, so I'm gonna go through her to get him that boss.
That's it. Well, listen.
Look at her, boss.
Hey,
look at her, boss.
The one thing I say is
boss
this, man. They want to come on, we'll have them on. We're always going to be here. It's about their schedule coming on here. That's the thing. We'll always be here. We might move it to a Tuesday if there's something going on a Wednesday, but Wednesday nights, this is where the place is happening.
But Boss Graves, Avery Boss Graves, Dixon Greenwood.
Hey, I would love Sean Eccles because, you know, that's another
Daniel
Stewart, the Gronkowski before there was Gronkowski. From
Stephen Harmon, Chad Tyree.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of guys. But, you know, from other schools, for Fulton, I would love to get Fred Smith. Let me see, Jeff Mitchell, who was at Fulton.
Oh yeah.
Let's go with Stephen Booker out of Austin East, Ed Marsh out of Austin East, Corey Kennebrew. There's a bunch of guys.
You know who I'd like to have, by the way, just because or whatever like that. I'd like to have Chris Ernst from Bearden High School. Honestly. Yeah. I would. I'll tell you what.
Ernst did.
I can find. He's in Knoxville. He's doing a contracting thing now. He just had a second kid with his wife. But I could probably reach out to him and get him on. The thing is the fact you got to give props. He played both ways. and led Bearden to probably their best record before recently in the Devon Young years. He had over 1,000 yards rushing and had over 100 tackles on defense. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
So when you were at Bearden, did you ever know Cleve Sides?
I did. Let me tell you something about Cleve Sides. Do you know that Cleve Sides was, if Chris Ernst played middle linebacker, Cleve Sides played strong side linebacker for Bearden, and Bryce Johnson, who was Chris Ernst's other cousin, he played weak side linebacker. Their linebackers that year for their 2000 squad were awesome. So
Yeah,
I
Cleve.
know Cleve Sides. Yes. So yeah.
I remember Cleve Sides.
Yeah.
I remember
Roy Nico is a real estate bigwig now.
Yeah, he's huge now.
Yeah, and so Roy Nico was one of their better linebackers, and his brother Vincent is on the Wall of Fame at Bearden High School right outside the gym. Vincent Nico, whose I believe son Sam just graduated from Bearden this past year or the year before. Sam Nico. So yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a bunch of guys like
there is Michael Smith with the other leg. Yep, absolutely. Sean Green. Let me see who else. But I don't care about having them on because they can start their own show. Laugh out loud. W's only. Troy going hard right there.
They can start their own show.
Troy's
hey, look, the fact that we got state championships, we'll let them all come on. After we get everybody from West.
Yeah.
We get everybody from West.
The golden leg. I love the golden leg.
Hey, Michael Smith. Can I ask a question though before we go off?
Sure.
But Nick McCook was one of the kickers too, right?
Yeah, I think he was.
Okay, hold on. There was Chad Tyree, Nick McCook. I think Troy might know this. Chad Tyree, Nick McCook, and Michael Smith. But Michael Smith hit the most field goals and extra points the year they went to the playoffs.
Dude, let me just tell you this, and Troy probably remembers this. I remember they wanted to kill Michael Smith because he couldn't find his tee or whatever like that. And so basically they had to do up downs until he found his tee and brought it back. That's a true story from what I understand. I wanted to kill him, honestly, because it took him a minute. So if you can imagine doing up downs while you're waiting for him to get his football tee, unbelievable. So that's a true story. So,
but I definitely would like to have William Ergen on this show.
Oh yeah, I don't even know where he's at. I mean, he's not on Facebook, and if he is, he's under a different name. Troy, I've already talked to you about this. I would love to have the great Tommy Whitten on. I would love to have him.
Yeah.
I will say a name, by the way, that said that he would love to be on. He's busy doing his real estate thing. Mr. NFL himself, Nathan Cottrell, by the way, the all-time rushing leader in West High history.
He was a beast.
That he would be on.
He's one of the best football
played
players.
For the Jaguars and has a recorded preseason touchdown from West High School with the Jaguars. So
played with the Chargers too.
I think so. Made their practice squad. Yeah, I believe so. But I love
Georgia Tech boy.
Georgia Tech. He beat Mike Canes on a long pass touchdown. He did his senior year. So yep. So. Yeah, Chad Tyree made awesome punts. Yeah, Michael Smith was a good receiver too. Absolutely. So yeah, got to be a doctor somewhere left. I love it.
Gotta be. You know what?
Here we go.
You know who else I want on the show?
Who's that?
We got to get some of these cross country dudes. We like Dusty Miller, Sean Stevens.
Yeah, we might as well have the track named after him. So Dusty Miller. I bet you I could get Dusty Miller on there because Alex Thatcher is friends with him, by the way.
Okay.
They're still close. And Alex, of course, knows about the show now in the Knoxville Coffee Company. So I could probably get Dusty Miller on.
Hey, man, we're getting a Knoxville Coffee Company to sponsor the show. We need sponsors, man. We need sponsors.
Yeah, we do. We need sponsors for sure. And listen, William Ergen. Yeah, man. If anybody knows where William Ergen's at, let's get him on here.
Hey, man, y'all put the APB out on all these people. Michael Knight, Daniel Stewart, William Ergen.
Yeah.
We need everybody.
Listen. Major Sharp, the golfer kid. Yeah,
Major Sharp.
Major Sharp.
Major Sharp. That was one hell of a golfer.
Hey, yeah, he is.
Major Sharp, Stewart Oaks. That's my,
Yeah.
that's like my brothers.
Well, and you wanted to get Stewart on too, so that's
Yeah.
all you right there, honestly. So, but I mean, like I said, I want these people on, and I hope that they just see just a little preview of our show, and they're like, you know what, it sounds like fun, you know.
We can't have no more thumbnails of me drinking on the show, because all the thumbnails is me doing this and drinking is bad. It's horrible. I'm looking at the thumbnail. I'm like, man, I about to share that, me doing this.
Hey, listen. To speak of our friend, did you see the pre-shot of the last episode? I looked like, hey, you guys.
Oh,
I mean, I look just like him or whatever.
Like
It was a
Bryce
tribute to Bryce
Sullivan.
Sullivan. So.
Hey, man. Hey, hold up. So was that your sophomore year that I did that? Or what year were you at?
Yeah, because we had just met. So you were a freshman, I was a sophomore, and that guy, he looked at you and he was like, you see that guy over there, and here's you. You're so nice and small. You know, you're a freshman. You're a little guy. You know, and he goes, he says, that's one of my kids. And then you looked at him and you were like, well, you look like the guy from the Goonies who goes, hey, you guys. And I was like, this is going to be my new best friend. Even though you wore that Peter Warwick jersey, I said, that's going to be my new best friend.
Man,
Oh,
Bryce Solomon, man. Where is Bryce Solomon? Have you heard from
He
Bryce?
joined them. He did the Army thing. He did the Army thing because he was on Facebook for a minute, and he was like in a uniform, like he was like real serious. He got married. Last I heard, he was living in Kentucky, but that was, I'm being serious, 2010. So that was like 14, 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Type of a thing. So.
Man, I wonder how he doing, man.
Yeah.
Bryce
Hey,
Solomon.
look at this. I see you. Stop blazing too, BT, on the show.
No, man, I'm blazing on the show, man.
Yeah, hey, look at this. See, too many West folk to open up to some and so forth. Well, you know, like I said, so.
Hey, man. They don't know what I was blazing up. God damn, it didn't even look like anything. Hey, man, you quit telling them I was blazing, damn it.
Hey, you know what? Listen, I ain't gonna lie. I vape a little bit too. When I'm stressed right now with all these claims coming in, I'm being serious. So.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, this doesn't reflect.
Nah.
This doesn't reflect. This is me. This is grown ass Brian here. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm giving my blood and sweat to this.
Hey, did anybody see me smoking a cigar on the 50-yard line after we beat Page for the second straight year? Hey, and I had the coaches and even some of the players were like, do you have one for me? I said, when you're 21, I'll get you one. But the coaches, you all are fair game. So there you go.
Soon as the boys win state in basketball, this is
all right.
This has got to happen.
Okay, hold on. Wait a minute.
So if they don't win state in basketball, this thing is staying in the plastic. Staying in the plastic, people.
All right, we'll play just a little bit. I always have it with me.
It's true though, Troy. This
is the one I'll save to smoke with you if the basketball team wins state next year.
There we go.
He's in Chattanooga next year.
There we go.
Walking out
because you know what? We have just now made more bulletin board material for, you know what I'm saying, all these other schools. And I really think they've been using it to say, y'all ain't even good enough to even get a podcast about you guys. Like, we do a podcast just talking about the district, the region, and everything else.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, listen, and when football season, like, kicks on, oh, my goodness, dude. Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, brother, you know this is like the most fun. Like, my Wednesdays are always tough, but it's like, man, the fact that I get to talk ball with my brother and have somebody else talk with us, and I mean, this is like free time for me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
but
I know it's late. I know it's getting late, and people need to go home and get to bed. But Michael Lynn next week, and you know what? I might just for the hell of it, we'll talk about what happened with Fulton and Austin East and all of them, in their region, Quest and Bearden and Maryville, because guess what? They're in a place where I wish we were at right now.
Exactly,
that's the goal. That's the cause for our Rebels hoops teams. So yeah. So well, brother, I want you to close us out. We always end up every show with a W. So
my W, because I'm charging my phone because it's about to die. So
you're good.
Love, peace, and chicken grease, and hey, man, don't step on them Rebel shoes.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Scoop, Pear, and Stallion out. Go Rebels.